you killed your mother. And why did you kill her?
She wasn't taking care of my family.
And you beat her to death with what?
Sledgehammer.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And where did you hit her?
In the head.
Yeah.
What was your official position in Vietnam?
I was a specialist, weapons specialist. Down. So I reach over my shoulder like this, right behind my neck, and I pull out a brand new machete. When she backed out, I come up behind her, and I took her head right there. I took a couple of hits, but the head came off. She body dropped to the ground, she just bled out. I split the body in half, opened up a pouch, and I had some C4, plastic explosives, lit a cigarette, just touched it, and it started lit up like a miniature sun. And I just laid the flesh up on top of that stick, right? And I bit into the flesh itself, you know, just staring at her eyes, and she urinated and defecated on herself. And she talked to me in broken English, so she told me everything I wanted to know. I go in, I reported in, saluted the colonel, and he gets up and he says, "You one sick son of a, but I love you."
This is the moment infamous killer Jaime Osuna appeared in court, charged with his second murder after killing his cellmate in a gruesome attack. Sometime in the early hours of March 9th, Jaime Osuna methodically tortured and killed Luis Romero at Corcoran State Prison. Osuna is accused of using a makeshift knife to decapitate and dissect Romero, removing an eye, a finger, and a portion of the man's lung, as well as cutting his spine and removing his eyes. It is believed that the victim was conscious for a portion of the crime. New reports are raising questions about how prison guards missed the hours-long sadistic torture and beheading. Osuna was originally jailed back in 2011 for the brutal murder of Yvette Pina in a motel. He had this to say.
I did sadistically, premeditatedly, deliberately tortured and murdered Yvette Pena. I don't have no sympathy. I'm sadistic. I really don't care. I'll do it and I'll do it again over and over and over.
Jeffrey Dahmer's terrifying last words in his last interview ever.
I'm glad that it's over. There's nothing, any words I say to the victims' families are just going to seem trite and empty. I don't know how to express the regret, the sorrow that I feel for what I've done for their sons.
Is it still there, Jeff? Does it ever go away?
In part, no, it never completely goes away. I'll probably have to live with it for the rest of my life. I wish it would go away. I wish there was some way to completely get rid of the compulsive thoughts, the feelings.
To being evil, Richard?
We are all evil in some form or another, are we not?
I'm asking you the questions, my friend.
Yes, I am evil. Not 100%, but I am evil.
Born on February 29th, 1960, Richard Ramirez's childhood was marred by a series of disturbing events that would shape his dark path. Growing up in a poverty-stricken neighborhood, Ramirez was exposed to a harsh reality from an early age.
A serial killer comes about by circumstances and like a recipe, poverty, drugs, child abuse. These things, you know, contribute to a person, to a person's frustration and anger.
Ramirez's criminal tendencies began to manifest during his teenage years. He started stealing and engaging in petty crimes, giving a glimpse into the darkness that lay within him. As Richard Ramirez's dark desires consumed him, he embarked on a reign of terror that would grip Los Angeles in fear. From June 1984 to August 1985, Ramirez unleashed a series of sadistic and brutal killings that shocked even the most seasoned detectives. Strangulation, beating, and sexual assault were just a few of the sadistic acts Ramirez committed. Ramirez's motive for killing was simply to kill. He was a predator driven by a dark and insatiable urge to inflict pain and death due to his frustration.
to a person's frustration and anger, and at some point in life, he explodes.
Richard Ramirez's reign of terror eventually came to an end when he was captured by a group of residents who recognized him and handed him over to the police. What followed was one of America's most notorious courtroom dramas. As the trial unfolded, shocking details emerged about Ramirez's fascination with Satanism. Ramirez, however, claimed the world had been fed lies about him.
What do you want the world to know about you?
The world has been fed many lies about me. I have read very few truths.
Despite his conviction, Ramirez showed no concern for his own fate. He made it clear that he did not care about himself or the consequences of his actions.
Why on earth would you have hurt those people? Why did you kill those people?
No comments. No comments. I cannot answer that at this time.
At some point, he even tried to compare his act to that of the government. In the end, Ramirez was sentenced to death in California's gas chamber, and he died while still on death row.
You killed her?
Yes.
But you love her?
Yes, I do.
Do you think you understand what love is? I mean, are you capable?
I don't really know how to answer that question. And I'm not saying that to be difficult or stubborn, but it's not simple, so I can't just point at something and say, okay, that's love. I recognize it easily, and I feel that.
To me, this question is a no-brainer. This hurts. That there is at least one thing he should be able to point at and say, that's love. And that's the fact that I'm still here and have supported him throughout this process. Because my feelings for him are very complex, but I can very easily say that's love.
As they say, it's like asking a colorblind person to describe the color red. They can't do it. He can't describe love because he can't feel it.
He doesn't feel anything.
Lack of empathy for their victims is a classic psychopathic trait. Paris was able to coldly murder his sister just to punish his mother.
Why did you have such anger towards your mother?
I spent a lot of time feeling alone as a child. A lot of time feeling left out, not only by my peers, but also by my own family.
See, every time he says, because I've heard him say that before, that he felt alone or left out, I'm always amazed. Like, where did that feeling come from? Because for the longest time, he was my only child. Life revolved around Paris. He was very loved by everybody. I was very present as a mother. How could he have felt that way? Because
you know, if I wanted to kill somebody, I'd take this book and beat you to death with it, and I wouldn't feel a thing. It'd be just like walking to the drugstore.
Do you feel blame? Are you mad? Do you feel like what's about referendums?
Why did you kill those people?
No comments. No comments. I cannot answer that at this time.
And that's why you killed them. Right. Right. Not because I was angry with them, not because I hated them, but because I wanted to keep them with me.
Nonetheless, you killed 7 men.
Yes, you
did. And I'm
did.
asking you, what got you to kill the 7 men?
And I'm telling you because the cops let me keep killing them, Nick. Don't you get it?
Not every...
For the record, you are guilty of killing many women and girls. Is
Yes.
that correct?
Yes, that's true.
Ted, how did it happen? Take me back. What are the antecedents of the behavior that we've seen? So much grief, so much sorrow, so much pain for so many people. Where did it start? How did this moment come about?
I grew up in a wonderful home with two dedicated and loving parents, one of 5 brothers and sisters. But as a young boy, and I mean a boy of 12, 13 certainly, that I encountered outside the home again, the local grocery store, the local drugstore, the softcore pornography, what people call softcore. As young boys do, we explored the back roads and sideways and byways of our neighborhood, and oftentimes people would dump the garbage and whatever they were cleaning out of their house, and from time to time we'd come across pornographic books of a harder nature than more graphic, you might say, more explicit nature than we would encounter, let's say, in your local grocery store.
I don't want